Hello, I'm Basil Valentine, and this is Unprecedented TV, unfiltered, uncensored, unprecedented, the home of free speech here on the internet. Do please like and subscribe over at YouTube. Follow us on X, and remember, I'm on air every day, Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. for Ascending Order, your daily news edit with live guests and all the genuinely most important stories from around the world. Don't allow yourself to be propagandized by the corporate media. Forget the world at one on Radio 4. Join me, Basil Valentine, instead, 1 p.m. on X, Monday to Friday, also on YouTube. And I'll see you all very soon. Hello, everyone. Wednesday, the 1st of October, 2025, and welcome to the program Ascending Order. Now, I'm going to go straight over to my friend, Dr. Frank Romano, aboard the Spectre in the Eastern Mediterranean, where he is, of course, hoping to be able to get to the shores of Palestine. Yes, that's the name of the state that they're going to, as recognized by the United Kingdom, France, Canada, and more than 150 countries around the world. They won't be going anywhere near Israeli territorial waters, but that won't stop the Zionist pirates from trying to intercept them. Now, last night, Frank, welcome to the program, by the way. I was following the live stream, and it looked like you were all about to be boarded at about 5 a.m. your time. There seemed to be Israeli warships hovering in the area, but they seem to have gone away again, and you're getting ever closer to bringing relief to the besieged Gaza Strip. Over to you, Frank, aboard the Spectre.
Yes, in fact, this morning, there was an Israeli naval vessel and drones everywhere, mainly at the Alma. And so they crashed their sound system and Sirius as well. And what it was a test. They started to circle and board the Alma actually, and noticed, the Israeli soldiers noticed that all the boats kept going by, that they were hoping, the strategy, they were hoping that they would stop the flotilla if one of the boats was being intercepted. And the same thing happened, I think, to the Sirius that was surrounded by Israeli Zodiacs. There was a warship nearby, and there were drones all over the place, hoping that once the other people in the boats, other activists in the other 49 boats saw that, would stop. Instead, the boats kept moving on, and so that strategy didn't work because they were hoping, the Israeli authorities were hoping to stop the entire flotilla. That didn't work, and so then they disappeared after that. Then the Israeli naval vessel disappeared, the drones and the Zodiacs disappeared after that. Basil, are you there? Were you able to hear that? Basil, do you want me to go back and then back into this Zoom interview? I don't hear you at all. I don't see you. Let me try it. Let me try
My
going back.
mistake. Sorry, my
Oh,
mistake, Frank. Stay there.
okay.
Stay there.
No problem.
Yeah.
Did that come through? Or do you want me to repeat that?
No, stay there, Frank. It's my bad.
Okay.
I was going
All
to
right.
say it seemed like the Israelis were going to try and short circuit the whole process by, thinking they could turn around 50 boats all in one go. But now I think it may have dawned on them that they're going to have to board all the boats individually, or try and sabotage them in some way, or commit another act of sabotage or piracy on the high seas, because you're all determined to make it to the shores of Gaza, and they're going to have to make a concerted effort to stop you, put it that way.
Yes, and actually, just to bring us in context, we are closer now to the Gaza shores than the Magdalene. The Magdalene, we're about less than 100 nautical miles now from Gaza, and the Magdalene was intercepted about 120 nautical miles. Now, if we, in another 10 hours from now, we will be about 50 nautical miles from the Gaza shore, and that was where the Hondola, I was on the Hondola, where the Hondola was intercepted over a month ago. But yes, their strategy really was to stop the flotilla. It did not work. They saw that we're all determined, and if one boat is being accosted and intercepted, as they tried to do, and even they crashed their communication system and their Starlink Wi-Fi, all the boats just kept going. We didn't stop at all, and so they that part of their strategy didn't work. But they could try what they've done in the past. They have surrounded some of the ships and made it so turbulent around it. They've surrounded it and made a lot of big waves. Now, they might pick out a few ships to do this, and everyone was sick. And there was a ship a few years ago that was full of journalists in particular that they did that with, and unfortunately they made the decision to turn back. That was attempted, and then there were attempts, obviously, to tie ropes around rudders, those type of sabotage attempts, and even drill holes in the hull. That's been attempted. They could try different things, but I think they realize that we are determined to go into Gaza, and we're still hoping that we can go in directly to bring in our humanitarian aid, Basil, and not be stopped. But I do want to add that you probably know the Turkish vessel and the please, I have an interview just a little bit. The Turkish vessels and the Italian vessel and the Spanish vessels have all left. So we really are spending on our own. I mean, we have God as our witness, our ally. So we're on our own, and we're still determined to be with our brothers and sisters in Gaza soon.
And before we go on, Frank, I just want to play a short clip of a 9-year-old Palestinian girl, Bani. Yes, this is her appeal from the beach of Gaza.
Hello, Global Sumuda Flotilla. My name is Banias and I'm 9 years old and I live in Gaza. I want to say welcome and thank you for sailing to us. The Global Sumuda Flotilla is a group of peaceful boats from around the world, supported by the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, bringing food, medicine, and hope to Gaza. Now, the Sumuda Flotilla is just away a few days from reaching us, and it reminds us that we are not forgotten. And to all the people around the world, please help protect the Global Sumuda Flotilla. Don't let it be attacked by the Israeli Navy. Let it reach Gaza safely. It means everything for those families and children. To everyone around the boat, we love you and we are waiting for you. From all my heart, I love you.
Yeah.
Oh, that was amazing. Oh my God, that's so hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that very moving in the context of where you are, Frank. I'm not surprised the Italians have melted away. They've got a habit of doing that. Caitlin Johnson, the Australian journalist, pointed out you always want to be careful when Italians start offering you protection. that tends to come with the strings attached. But I know you have Italian ancestry yourself, Frank. But on a more serious note, it was likely only ever to be a performative act by the arch-Zionist Meloni. And for all his bluster, likewise, Recep Erdogan, the Turkish president, hasn't actually lifted a finger to help people like that young girl we just saw.
Absolutely, and the Italians, and I do have Italian ancestry, and I definitely don't relate. My family doesn't relate to this arch Zionist Maloney, as you said, but they had to go through one of his generals to leave us a message by saying we are going to leave, or we intend to leave, and you should leave too. What you are doing is compromising security and sort of balling yourself.
You're breaking up a bit there, Frank.
Oh, sorry. We did not expect much from the Italian Prime Minister. We expected more from the Spanish Navy, and they did send a couple ships and were very adamant. But I think when we reached the orange zone, I think they were required to turn around. And we had Turkish vessels here, and they were even providing us with drone protection overhead. And probably one of the reasons why we never got attacked by drones. Basically, I think though the Israelis saw the reaction that the attack last Wednesday was, and it was inspiring, and we're trying to figure out what to do. And they tried to test today. This morning it didn't work, Basil, but we're so upbeat. We're getting all ready. We're getting our boat ready, and all of us together, and for another day. But I really think if there is an interception, it was going to happen around midnight tonight. I'll be on watch. So it'll be hopefully not. Hopefully there'll be some type. I mean, Basil, this is crazy to even consider. But maybe part of the ceasefire agreement, or maybe that's Trump's says that he wants to bring an end to the war, and he advocates a ceasefire. Maybe he can throw in the Patilla in the loop and say, well, we'll let them go in and bring humanitarian aid as part of the deal. But, I think I'm pulling on straws there. Don't you think, Basil?
I'm afraid so. I don't hold out much hope for this absolutely abysmal peace plan. The world has become completely inverted in terms of its morality. The perpetrators of what even the Labour Party conference this week, the governing party in the United Kingdom, the country first guilty of giving Palestine away over 100 years ago through that disgraceful Balfour Declaration. Anyway, the governing party at its annual conference have declared that genocide is being committed, yet all the while the UK government continues to arm the genocide and provide diplomatic cover for the genocidaires. And the Trump plan basically rewards the perpetrators of genocide with complete control over the lives of Palestinians. This after so many countries last week recognized the Palestinian state. I mean, the whole international order has been completely smashed to smithereens by Israel's total disregard for international law. And when you see war criminals like Tony Blair, Donald Trump himself parading around on the world stage with the arch mass murderer Benjamin Netanyahu as somehow the sort of dictators of what mainstream global opinion is supposed to be, of what, claiming to sort of represent somehow the what's now become, of course, the international rules-based order. It used to be international law, but that's all been abandoned. I don't know about you, Frank, but these are uniquely dark times in terms of the political overlay. And I've lost Frank. After all that, sorry about that. I seem to be talking to myself there. I hope I can get Frank back. In the meantime, I'm going to do a quick pivot, as we say in broadcasting, to the propaganda wars going on behind the scenes, of course, over Israel, which continue in various forums around the world. Glenn Greenwald is a Brazilian-based Jewish correspondent, formerly of The Intercept, and he tackled arch-Zionist Bill Maher on Bill Maher's show yesterday when Maher did the usual Zionist tactic these days, which is try and deflect attention away from the atrocities being committed by Israel towards Muslims in general, and particularly other parts of the world, in this case, Nigeria, never somewhere the Maher ever seems to care about. Greenwald took him to the cleaners, as we can hear now.
It's not our fault what came out. We didn't go into Egypt.
Well, we
wound up with the Muslim Brotherhood.
We didn't go into Egypt. We were supporting and propping up Mubarak for 30 years, even as we were cheering for all the Tahrir Square demonstrators as though we were on their side. It was our government that kept Mubarak in power, just like we've done across the entire Muslim world. And it's amazing for you to say that, well, look at all these Muslims. The minute you give them a little bit of freedom, they go wild and they start being all violent. How can you be a citizen of the United States, the country that has generated more violence and militarism in the world over the last 5 or 6 decades, and say, look at those people over there, they are incredibly violent? We play a significant role in what has been happening in the Middle East because we've been interfering and dominating that region in order to have access to their oil.
I wasn't talking about
Israel.
violence. I was talking about theocracy. That doesn't happen here.
No, well, okay, that doesn't happen here, but at the same time, Iran isn't invading lots of other countries and occupying them for a decade, nor are fundamentalist Muslim countries the way the United States is. So these things are interlinked because we are continuously interfering in that part of the world. And so to say...
Really, it's all our fault?
It's not all our fault, but when you send your military for 6 straight decades into other countries to bomb them, kill their children and women and innocent men, prop up dictators, you take responsibility for your actions and say, to the extent that that region...
That religion goes back 1,000 years before our revolution, so I don't think we can take all the blame.
I don't think we should. I think we should take a lot of it. And there's lots of bodies and corpses that have been piled up in the name of Christianity and Judaism as well.
Not recently.
Have you heard of the occupation of the West Bank and Gaza for the last 50 years, motivated in part by extremist views of Judaism, or the wars in Europe, or the fact that there were generals in the United States saying we have to go and invade and destroy Iraq, a country of 26 million people, because our God is bigger? Lots of religions, not just Islam, produce violence.
Well, if I could just make one quick point about Egypt.
Silly,
well said, Glenn Greenwald.
Religions are alike because it makes you feel good.
No, it makes you feel good to say our side is better. Those people over there are primitive and violent.
No, it makes you feel good to put a crown on your head and say, I'm a good person. How do I prove that?
You get to ignore the responsibility that your own government has for the violence and instability in the world by saying, look, it's that primitive religion over there that's to blame.
All right, it's time for...
I like the way Glenn Greenwald was able to take down Bill Maher quite comprehensively there. Now I'm glad to say Frank's back with us. Frank, I can see you. Now you can see me, I hope, too. I can see you, Frank, but I can't hear you. Please say something, anything. Viewers and listeners, I do hope you agree it's worth hanging on because Frank is at the epicenter of world events. Frank, can you hear me now? I can see you're moving again. You're using Starlink.
Yes, I can hear you.
I was just saying before we lost you that the world has been turned upside down in terms of its morality, and Trump's peace plan is rewarding the perpetrators of genocide and indeed the perpetrators of previous war crimes like the dreadful Tony Blair. And yet a gun is being pointed to the head of Palestinians and told basically, accept this or die. And Frank has frozen again. Okay, well, I'm going to pivot away now. Hopefully Frank will be back. But first, Frank.
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. It keeps
all right. We quite understand. I mean, as I said, you're at the epicenter of world events. So the Trump peace plan is rewarding genocide, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically saying, we're advocating a peace, but the peace is clearly favorable to Israel. They really are favoring the continued control, and it's not clear at all
what's going to happen, and requesting Hamas to lay down arms and release the hostages before there's any guarantee that there's any really type of a solution for peace in Gaza, and that the Hamas people will have any type of security is ridiculous. So yes, absolutely, Basil, and I don't think Hamas is going to agree to this. I hope they don't, because laying down arms and releasing the hostages probably is ingredients for further war after that, and further smashing the Gazan people into the ground.
Further massacres, I would say. I don't really like to describe it as a war. It's mass slaughter of civilians. The most recent academic estimate is that 680,000 Palestinians have been murdered one way or another, more than half of them children. I've got some pictures most recently over the last 24 hours from Gaza. Overnight, you can see the fires there from incendiary devices. I can show you those fires are not actually being lit in order to keep people warm. And then most recently, poisonous gas canisters have been dropped in the vicinity of the last remaining hospital in Gaza City, from which everybody has now been ordered to leave.
طائرات كوات قطر تلقي قنابل دخانية في محيط مستشفى الشفاء حتى تجبر المواطنين الذين لم يغادروا مدينة غزة، تجبرهم على الخروج. هذه هي سياسة الاحتلال.
I think gas bombs are something that you on board the flotilla might have to contend with as well, Frank.
Yes, and we had the gas bomb is hydrogen sulfide, which is a very flammable gas, and if it's inhaled, it can have. It's not inhaled too much. It can have, really a very drastic consequences of the nose and the mouth. But if they're deeply inhaled, it can cause cardiac arrest and death. And so they're using the same thing. And ironically, I think we're talking about the El Shifa hospital. Ironically, this commando that's in charge of the interceptions in the Mediterranean was the one who called in a couple of years ago to clean up El Shifa, and they massacred everyone. They killed babies in cribs, they buried people alive, and this is the group that is sent out to intercept the flotilla, Basil. But again, we're trained quite in depth to not provoke them. But it's interesting that that same hospital is subject to more attacks and more annihilations that was cleaned up by the same commando that is sent, was sent already this morning, and probably will be sent tonight around midnight to intercept us. And hopefully, and we're not sure though what type of reception we're going to have, especially considering what Ben Gavir said, that we're going to be treated like terrorists now. And terrorists means no lawyer. It means torture. It means no calls to anyone. It means pretty much we're excommunicado from the world for several days. So hopefully that is not played out the way Ben Gavir wants it.
There are a number of parliamentarians, dignitaries, and even minor celebrities on board the flotilla. I would imagine they're in touch with host governments in Western Europe. The British government have said they're not going to lift a finger to help the participants on the flotilla, even though, of course, you are the people upholding international law, Frank, and really you should be given an armed escort to Gaza in accordance with international law. Do you have any feedback at all from any of the other boats about what kind of diplomatic support, if any, is being provided? And I'm afraid we've lost Frank at that point. What a shame. I've got another guest joining me in a few moments. Conversation I'm very much looking forward to with Victoria Alexander, also known as VN Alexander. She's an academic and authoress based in New York City. And we're going to be talking about the state of the United States as of 1st of October 2025. Here in the UK, of course, the talking shop known as the Labour Party conference comes to a close today. The popularity contest between the two women vying for the deputy leader's job is coming to a close. They've been answering questions about what they think the Labour Party's biggest achievements are. And one answer was introducing the minimum wage. Well, that was 25 years ago under Tony Blair. It's extraordinary that that's about the best thing that they can think of. Does anybody really care who becomes deputy leader of the Labour Party? I don't think so. I think people are much more concerned with getting rid of this abysmal government. The one good thing the Labour Party conference have done this week is, of course, to affirm that it is indeed a genocide in Gaza, while the government continues to arm and provide it political support. Perhaps this celebrity takedown had something to do with it.
Keir Starmer says it's not genocide. It is genocide.
It's a 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 genocide.
Ya Allah! Ya Allah فوقها!
It's a genocide.
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 Who says it's a genocide?
16 Palestinian human rights organisations. 800 UK lawyers and judges.
Scholars of Holocaust and genocide studies.
Oxfam.
B'Tselem.
Save the Children.
Amnesty International. Physicians for Human Rights, Israel.
International Association of Genocide Scholars.
The UN Independent International Commission of Inquiry.
The Green Party.
The Lib Dems.
The Mayor of London.
Keir Starmer, this is a genocide.
Stop arming Israel.
Sanctions now.
Stop arming Israel.
Sanctions now.
Stop arming Israel. Sanctions now.
Stop arming Israel.
Sanctions now.
And there, of course, was Starmer with one of the architects of the genocide as recently as 2 weeks ago, Israel Katz. Now then, joining me is Frank Romano. Again, before you go, Frank, one last time, I said there's a number of dignitaries and celebrities with the flotilla. I assume you're in touch with them and indeed with host countries as well. What do you know of the sort of back chat in terms of, what kind of diplomatic support you'll be given, whether or not any pressure is being placed on the Israelis not to intercept the flotilla?
Yeah, so far, believe it or not, Basil, we have sent out to the public, issued statement upon statement after Ben Gvir made that statement that he wanted to treat us as terrorists, to get the diplomats involved. Believe it or not, I think it was the Italian or the Spanish government, they committed to helping us with consular help. So those, in any case, that those people that don't have consular protection, and I will mention, Americans are never visited. Americans that are part of the flotilla bringing humanitarian aid to Gaza are never visited by their consulate when they're in prison, even though it's an obligation of the country within 24 hours to send its consulate to people in jail in foreign countries. So that's something, and that's about all. we have not heard any, even though we've encouraged diplomats from all over the world, we haven't heard of any diplomatic activity connecting with Israel, telling them to recant about Ben Gvir's statement treating us like terrorists, which is a very official statement from the government, which is very dangerous, treating us as terrorists. It's very serious thing. We haven't heard anything, Basil, so we still feel upbeat. We feel pretty much abandoned by most of our consulates anyway when it comes to any type of diplomacy. They're not making it known to us what they are doing, what our consulates from our countries are doing to pressure the Israeli government not to treat us as terrorists, to let us go into Gaza, bringing humanitarian aid according to the International Court of Justice decision. We haven't heard anything yet about the activities other than what's either Spanish or Italian government said that they will provide consular services, and that's all. So it's okay. The boats left us early this morning. The boats from Spain, the boats from Italy, and the boats from Turkey have left as soon as we got into pretty much into the orange zone. But we did appreciate, especially the Turkish vessel that gave us drones overhead to deter Israeli drones anyway from interceding and bombing us, as they've done last Wednesday and as they've done in the Tunis harbor about a week ago. We are upbeat, Basil. You know, we in any hardship, and we do have some hardship, it's true. It's tough sometimes when we get sick and the seas are rough and not enough food and water and stuff, but we keep thinking, you know, the people in Gaza have it much worse than we do, and this is a necessary risk. And we're able to, through us, be vehicles to showcase the Palestinian struggle. And thanks to the press, as yourself, Basil, bringing it to the world, I really think the pressure is happening now. And hopefully we can find a solution to the end of this genocide. And we can find a way to unite Palestine so we can have a normal, united government and a normal life. And hopefully that is imminent. We do have the hopes anyway, Basil.
The one government that seems to be taking a stand is the Australian government, Frank, which has said it's deeply concerned about the safety of its citizens. 6 Australians confirmed to be on board the flotilla. And the Assistant Minister for Foreign Affairs, Matt Thistlethwaite, said, "I'm deeply concerned by the alleged drone attacks on the Global Samud flotilla and the risks to the safety of Australians and other passengers on board. Australia calls on all parties to respect international law and international humanitarian law and to refrain from any unlawful or violent act against the flotilla." Why is it so hard for other countries to say the same thing? Respect international law.
Yes, I think behind the scenes, it's all about money. You suspect that with Israel, and Israel does not hesitate to condemn and to blacklist politicians that say anything against Israel. Behind the scenes, they are paying a lot of money to politicians in their campaigns to be reelected, and they have a lot of commercial relationships with different countries. And the countries' leaders are sheepish about it. They're not taking any chances. They, we'll take the stability. We're afraid of the backlash, especially American politicians. Many of them are being subsidized by the AIPAC, by the Israeli lobbies. And in fact, if they don't, if these politicians, it's been told, it's been proven that the politicians decide to say something against Israel or speak out, as you mentioned, which is really they should do. It's the right thing to do. Then the Israeli lobby representatives that pay millions of dollars to these American politicians say, we will pay the money to your opponent and you will lose. And so to maintain their power, it's money and power nourished by their greed all over again. Like you say, it's topsy-turvy when it comes to any type of principles. And it's all about me, my money, my power, and the heck with the rest of the world, even though they're window dressing by saying, gee, we're concerned. One side of the mouth saying, we're concerned about our citizens. And then the other side of the mouth, they're continuing sending arms to Israel to continue the genocide and to continue emboldening, making Israel emboldened to continue what it's doing, because it gets power from the money and the arms given by American government as well. And so this hypocrisy is so manifest, and it's, with someday we'll have stronger leaders. Someone's going to speak out. At least Spain and Italy and Turkey and even Greece providing warships at one time or another during this global Samud flotilla voyage to Gaza is a strong statement, even though they didn't provide us security all the way to Gaza, which is their legal obligation. It is a strong statement, and hopefully we can work with that as a domino effect, and hopefully other countries. It's the sheep mentality, Basil. Other countries that, even if they don't want to send a warship, they're going to say, well, they're sending a warship. They're looking courageous. I want to follow them as sheep. But if that's what, if that's what it takes to get other countries to comply with their obligation under the International Court of Justice provisional decision a year ago, which is to do everything they, against Israel to impede the flow of humanitarian aid to Gaza, which means the other countries are to try to secure that as well. That's their obligation. Hopefully, Basil, that will ignite, that will be the catalyst, what Spain and Italy and Turkey and to a smaller degree Greece have done for other countries to step in, because there will be other flotillas, right? Basil, we're not giving up. And we're never going to give up until really that genocide is over, and there's really a strong effort to free Palestine from the claws of this evil military industrial complex led by the United States and Israel.
Well said, Frank. Well, we wish you all the very best from here in the United Kingdom. I think it's extremely courageous what you're doing. There are still some, awful people decrying the efforts of the humanitarian flotilla, who seem to think it's all about self-aggrandizement on your part, Frank, believe it or not. But I hope you remain safe. I hope we can speak again. I hope it's from the shores of Gaza, but I fear you may be right, and that you will indeed be intercepted before then. It's a fascinating situation. It does present a real logistical problem for the Israelis, because they're going to need a lot of ships and a lot of manpower to stop all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll need a lot of resolve, because I think they're vacillating now. But I think if we say, that's what Samud means, by the way. Samud is an Arabic word for being steadfast, obstinate in pursuing your goals. And so, I really think we have shown the steadfastness. And I don't know about courage. It really is a necessary thing we've got to do, Basil. Step up and do this. This is like an obligation that we've got to do as human beings that have a heart for another a people, even the other end of the world. We're all connected. We're all one. So this is, and again, Basil, we don't see ourselves as, there might be some egos involved, but we're just vehicles. We're vehicling or showcasing the struggle of the Palestinian people. It could be anyone in the world, but it happens to be the Palestinians, and we're here, and we're just trying to do it with the right thing to do. And fortunately, we have the media support as yourself to show this to the world.
So by that, I have perfectly stated the general statement of we are only doing what we have to do. We do nothing wrong. We have to protect ourselves. And not discuss clearly about whatever right.
Okay, Frank, well, the line seems to be breaking up. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope I can speak to you again before very long, basically, and that you all remain safe. And wouldn't it be amazing if you did actually make it to Gaza? I've got everything
Yes.
crossed.
Thank you. And I'm on night watch from Gaza time, 9 to midnight. So if you want to contact me after that, that's sort of the anticipated interception time, the same time that they intercept at the last minute, actually, the Honda, 50 miles, nautical miles from Gaza is really last minute, or before that. I'll try to be available. I just appreciate all you're doing to showcase this and allowing us to express ourselves to the world. And hopefully, this will give rise to bring in, the people that are on the fence about this genocide that will be convinced and do something, even in their own way of, commuter messages. They don't have to be on a boat. Computer messages, conferences, whatever, and we'll start like a domino effect. And hopefully, and hopefully, we'll be able to do something and stop the genocide, and again, free Palestine from the grips of this awful money oligarchy. Anyway, thank you, Basil.
Indeed. Thank you, Frank. And we wish you all the very best. I hope to see you again very soon. And my
Take
heart
care.
is with you. Take care.
Thank you so much. We talk to you later. Bye-bye.
There he goes, quite literally. That's Frank Morano in the Eastern Mediterranean. Tonight, I'm going to try and record one more interview with him. Before then, of course, I'm hoping today to still be joined by the academic Vian Alexander from New York to find out the state of the union. We spoke before the program began, and she's got some very interesting things to say about the current state of affairs in America. More mass shootings than ever, a government shutdown, and some truly bizarre pronouncements from the president, Donald Trump. Here's one of them. This is the extraordinary congregation of generals called by Pete Hegseth, now, of course, Secretary for War. They've changed that from defense. I mean, it really is absolutely abysmal what's happening in the United States. I have to hold my hand up and confess I hoped, and indeed to some extent expected, better from Donald J. Trump. We thought that he might actually be a peace president. It turns out, in fact, he's not only a warmonger, he's a rambling idiot, as we can hear now.
People throw around that word. I call it the N-word. There are two N-words, and you can't use either of them. You can't use either of them. And frankly, if it does get to use, we have more than anybody else. We have better, we have newer, but it's something we don't ever want to even have to think about.
There's two N-words. And we don't want to have to use either. But if we do, we've got bigger, better, newer ones. Well, I think he's talking, of course, about nuclear weapons for the second N-word. Now then, the death of Charlie Kirk is still, to some extent, dominating the news coverage, certainly in independent media and on social media in the United States. And Ryan Matter is one of the people who's been paying closest attention, not only to the death of Kirk himself, but also the fallout and what's going on. First of all, this is the chap that's being presented as the guy to replace Kirk. This is the person lined up as the sort of new head of Turning Point, and he's got very different views about Israel from the guy that's just been assassinated.
What we're seeing going on right now across college campuses all over the country, specifically Yale and Columbia, they're getting shut down and overrun by these anti-Jew protesters, these pro-Gaza protesters, these terrorist sympathizers. That's what they are. Let's call it out for what it is. It's disgusting. It's vile. It's inhumane. Listen, the Democrat Party is being radio silent on this. Why? Because these are their own supporters. And in the case of Ilhan Omar, her actual daughter out there standing in the picket line and protesting this. It's disgusting. And they should be calling it out. It's pretty easy to come on and say, hey, we're pro-Israel. We're a pro-Jewish people. We're pro-America. It's that simple. But instead, the Democrats are supporting this anti-Israel message being spouted by their supporters out there in Columbia and Yale. And they're supporting this Death to America chant by letting this continue on. They've got to put a stop to this. On the other hand, Republicans are pro-Israel, We're pro-America, and we're pro-protecting Jewish citizens not only in Israel, but across the world, even here in America. That is our stance. It couldn't be more clear, and their stance couldn't be more disgusting. They've got to act fast, and they need to speak out now.
Yeah, there's a typical Pop-in Jay who has clearly got confused between Make America Great Again and Make Israel Great Again. He seems to think that the two are one and the same thing. Before I go on, here's a bit of an oldie but goldie, as we call it. Benjamin Netanyahu talking about how he controls the United States.
במיוחד היום עם אמריקה, אני יודע מה זה אמריקה. אמריקה זה לא שאפשר להזיז אותו בקלות, להזיז לכיוון הנכון.
הם אומרים שהם בעדינו, אבל כאילו...
לא יכניעו לו.
אז שאם אנחנו עושים איזה משהו, אז הם...
יש שבע, אז נניח שהם אומרים משהו. אז אמרו, 80% מהאמריקאים תומכים בנו. זה אבסורד, יש לנו שם תמיכה כזו, ואנחנו אומרים מה נעשה עם ה...
הסכם אוסלו קבע בשעתו כי ישראל תמסור בהדרגה שטחים לפלסטינים בשלוש פעימות שונות, אלא אם בשטחים האמורים יימצאו התנחלויות או אתרים צבאיים. כאן מזהה ביבי פרצה.
אף אחד לא אמר מה זה אתרים צבאיים מוגדרים. אתרים צבאיים מוגדרים, אני אמרתי, אלה אזורי ביטחון. בקעת הירדן, מבחינתי זה אתר צבאי מוגדר. נכון. זה אוקיי.
Disappointingly for the likes of Brylin Hollander, or whatever his name is, and Netanyahu himself, the toothpaste ain't going back in the jar. This little clip from social media is typical of the changing attitudes of American youth.
Hey, to everyone that supports Nick Fuentes, just know, bro, he switched up. AIPAC paid him 241 grand to support their twisted agenda, bro. AIPAC is not good, bro. All the politicians you know, they have their AIPAC guy that's controlling
every single congressman has an AIPAC guy.
Wake up.
Every single one. Wake the fuck up, bro.
Wake
Our
up.
government is controlled by Israel and we don't even know, bro. Wake up. Literally. Nobody realizes, bro. You vote for these people, bro. Your vote's not going to anything.
You're voting for Israel. No matter what you vote for, you're voting for Israel.
You're voting for an actor.
There's no point in even following a political party.
Literally.
That's the truth of it. And George Washington warned about the two-party system ever since the beginning. Right before he died, he was talking about the two-party system
and nobody listened. Nobody listened.
Nobody listened.
And that's exactly what we're seeing right now, bro. And you have fucking people, the Charlie Kirk killer, and Trump is blaming on the fucking Democrats for a reason. Wake up. There's
They're
a reason
trying to
for that.
divide us.
They're
trying to divide us. Stand together and stand against
so
this
Republicans
corrupt
hate
government.
Democrats and Democrats hate Republicans. It's going to be like that for as long as we know.
That's exactly how they want it. That's exactly what they want.
Exactly.
Unite and wake up
Stay
together.
woke,
America,
bro.
stay
Wake
together.
the fuck up, bro.
Stay woke.
Wake up.
Larry Ellison, of course, has recently bought TikTok with the express purpose of clamping down on that kind of material. But the toothpaste ain't going back in the jar, as they say. Social media has meant that it's no longer possible to control opinion in quite the same way. And here is Ryan Matter pointing out that very fact.
You guys want to know why I'm the most censored documentary filmmaker in America and why it's taken me so long to roughly get to 260,000 and get to a point where our Twitter spaces can get 5,000 people and pack a house? It's because of dickwads like Jack Posobiec, and this trans shooter narrative shit is going to be career ending for these psychopaths. So let me just show you guys what these dickheads are trying to. Okay, so he puts out a tweet this morning and it's only got 104,000 views, and I can't tell you that's over like 10 hours. So the engagement on this is absolutely horrible. So he said, I saw a leftist murder Charlie Kirk and then I saw them celebrate it. You know what I saw? I saw a media try to push a narrative about a lone shooter on the roof with a gun and a man that walked down neighborhoods and changed outfits and then came back with a gun down his pants and was limping because he was carrying the gun down his pants. Then we were told that he got on the roof, assembled the rifle, changed his outfit, took the shot, got done, cleaned up his shit, changed back the rifle, disassembled the rifle, put it back down his pants, jumped off a roof. Then we're told that he's in a Discord. Then we're told that he's not in a Discord because the CEO of Discord comes out and tells us he's not in a Discord. And then we're seeing every single angle from this shot and none of it makes sense. None of it lines up. And then we're being told that this man is somehow in a full sprint on the roof with a rifle within 3 seconds. And then we have this flurry of conspiracy theories. And then we also don't even get me started on the fucking patsies. And don't even get me started on what Candace is about to drop this week. So all of this big shit that you're trying to push, Jack, and we know what you're doing. And it's going to be career ending for anybody in the fake MAGA media, from Benny Johnson to Nick Sorter to fucking Zach Guntherman or Zach Engelman, whoever the kid, Cullen Rugg, all of them. They're all getting exposed. Laura Loomer's, because we ain't letting this Charlie Kirk investigation go, Jack Posobiec. No matter how many times you repeat, I saw a leftist murder Charlie Kirk, the more time that you're going to hear voices like me saying, fuck you. And you're going to hear people like me not afraid to call it out. And our voices are getting louder and yours is obviously getting smaller, Jack. So TikTok, motherfucker. How much longer can you guys carry this weight for this administration and cover up the assassination of Charlie Kirk? He was supposed to be your buddy, you dirtbags. He was supposed to be your friend. You were supposed to be the ones fucking protecting him. And now he's dead. Your trans shooter narrative's falling apart. And this is why your engagement sucks more dick than Dolan Mulvaney at a CPAC conference. Just saying, Jack.
Not mincing words there, Ryan Matter, but it makes a very interesting point. I mean, in social media, the FBI narrative has all but completely disintegrated. It makes no sense at all. And the evidence against it is manifold. On the other hand, in corporate media, you still have this lone transsexual gunman story being pushed, even as it falls apart. The guy who shot him, his own father, now says he doesn't believe that he killed him. And of course, the shooter himself, Tyler Robinson, denies ever having written those text messages, which are central to the prosecution's case. And if they're thrown out, there's no case. Will Tyler Robinson even make it to trial, or will he be suicided Jeffrey Epstein style in his cell? Then, of course, there's the question of Erica Kirk, who's been behaving very strangely since the assassination of the man who was supposed to be the love of her life and the father of her children. I don't doubt he was that, but what else was she? Here's another particularly fascinating piece of social media, which we bring you here on Ascending Order.
There are some people now saying that Erica Kirk was an Israeli honeypot for Charlie Kirk. And I'm not going to lie, when you look at some of the details of their life and relationship, it does look a little bit suspicious. So let's first get the obvious out of the way. Erica Kirk actually admits that she saw Charlie Kirk on her first pilgrimage to Israel.
I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband. Well, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line. And I remember looking behind me, and in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar. And as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence. Now, did we know that? No, not until we were like 3 months into our relationship and looking at timestamps, seeing that both of us were in Israel at the same time. But nothing is by coincidence.
But she pretends in the speech like she didn't know who he was and didn't recognize him, despite at the time Charlie Kirk being one of, if not the most popular young conservative in the world because of his campus tours with TPUSA. Yeah, so anyway, 3 months later, they were dating. And then she says that that's when they realized they just coincidentally were in Israel together. Wow. It must have been fate. Now, here's where things start getting a little bit weird. Erica Kirk, former Miss Arizona, was a multi-millionaire before she met Charlie Kirk. Now, supposedly most of these millions stemmed from a podcast and a nonprofit organization called Romanian Angels, a nonprofit organization that she created alongside her mother that ran from roughly 2011 to 2016 or 17. Now, this nonprofit organization worked alongside American soldiers, the U.S. military, that were stationed on a NATO base nearby. And oh, by the way, all of this was done completely and totally off the books. Yeah, not suspect at all. And they worked to help orphaned little girls in Romania. Now, some of you might be asking, is Erica Romanian?
Now, that's a very strange story, and we'll perhaps have a look in that in more detail next week. But finally, after a few gremlins in the machine, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Victoria Alexander, known professionally as VN Alexander. She's an author and extremely distinguished academic, I must say. I read your CV, Victoria, and well, as I told you when we spoke before the program, it's reminiscent of the great Jim Fetzer. You have qualifications in the history and philosophy of science, but have now veered into conspiracy territory. However, you don't need to be a conspiracy theorist to realize that there's something very much wrong with the state of the Union, the United States, at the moment.
No, you don't. And I don't mind the term conspiracy theorist, because we are theorizing about conspiracies that are going on, and they've weaponized that term. And so I want to take it back. I am a conspiracy theorist.
Fair enough. Of course, I mean, it was originally introduced to the lexicon by the CIA to discredit people who questioned the findings of the Warren Commission, arguably the greatest work of fiction of the 20th century. There's still not sort of completely in the public consciousness that Oswald had nothing to do with the shooting of JFK. In fact, he tried to warn the authorities. He became aware of an assassination plot, but that's another whole story. If we fast forward to October 2025, the United States does seem to be in a particularly perilous situation. The Department of Defense has been renamed the Department of War. There are mass shootings now seemingly at regular intervals. The government's due to shut down tonight. We've got Trump and the war criminal Netanyahu in the White House trying to paper over a genocide. It's an extraordinary situation, isn't it, Victoria?
It is, and yet life goes on. It's sort of interesting that in the midst of a collapse, a collapse of belief, a collapse of truth, ordinary day, or the ordinary day continues, and people go to their jobs and go to the grocery store. So you look around and you don't notice that we're in the midst of some sort of revolution or civil war. It's a slow moving collapse, and so we sort of get used to it. But maybe things are kind of hitting a threshold. People are noticing the mass shootings and so forth, and the young people feeling like they need to take up arms, like Luigi, what is it? Mangione?
Mangione.
What was his last? Mangione.
Mangione, yeah.
Yeah, interesting case. So, but if you think about the situation, it's predictable that we would have increase in violence everywhere. We've had chronic illness for decades, which leads to health problems. On top of that, many people are on psychoactive drugs, the side effects of which are suicidal and homicidal ideation. You have a number of people on hormones in the trans community. You have a generation of people who grew up playing violent video games and have been desensitized against killing. And young people, their brains are still being wired until they're about till they're about 25. And so whatever sort of repetitive behavior you do over and over again is going to change your neuronal connections. And you're not going to be as plastic and adaptive as normal people who have very diverse experiences in the real world all the time, meeting and talking to real people. If you're playing video games all the time, you have this artificial world that is just changing your brain, literally changing your neuronal connections. And so, which is not to say that I, blame this violence on those limited things, but it's a perfect storm. All this stuff is adding up. And of course, you have on top of that, the the situation with Israel and Palestine is interesting because I believe that the oligarch that have lost the plot on that one. And people like Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson were starting to wake up to the idea that Israel is committing genocide. This is and the Democrats couldn't control that, and the young people didn't vote for Kamala because they could see that a genocide is taking place. And when you ask people to deny what their eyes and ears are telling them, and I realize it's a digital world, can we trust the images that we are seeing online? And generally not at first, but you do, after a while, you are able to corroborate various stories when you get so many different pictures from so many different sources and so many people live on the ground reporting. After a while, I think you can say this is true and this is not true. So it's an amazing time, really, that the American psyche is ready to. It's at a turning point. We don't believe in our government. We don't trust our government at all. And even if it turns out that Israel was not involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk, people believe that they were. And even if it turns, and this is important, it's the public belief. Even if it turns out, and I understand now that the authorities are collecting a lot of evidence. They claim that there's DNA evidence on the gun. We'll see if the autopsy determines that the bullet came from that gun. I understand there's some problems with that now. But even if they come up with all that evidence, we have so little trust in our government lying to us through so many different psyops that it really won't matter how much evidence they present. There's always going to be doubt. And when you have that severe of doubt, I don't know how a government can go on, particularly if they switch, as the Trump administration wants to do, to a kind of law and order, a more fascist approach to controlling the people. So the question that's on my mind.
Yeah, that's another whole narrative, really, isn't it? That we've got this, both sides calling each other fascists and bandying words. Yeah, exactly. Yes, and Trump sending troops in now to cities like Portland in Oregon, to impose some kind of martial law, declaring Antifa, which doesn't even exist as an organization, to be a terrorist organization. It's really sort of bizarro stuff, isn't it? And then, he himself has become increasingly incoherent and rambling. Some people are saying that he's seriously ill and may well go before the next election.
It's hard to tell with Trump. He hasn't been the most coherent speaker for a long time. And I know that the definition of domestic terrorists started under Obama with 9/11, and so he's just continuing the policies that were brought out then. My question and what I'm concerned about now is if we're at a breaking point where the people no longer believe in their government and it's either fascist rule or some sort of revolution, is there any way that the people can unite over our concerns, which are the same? We don't want authoritarian government. We believe in freedom, and most of us believe in our Constitution. What can we do to stop this? And I would hope that we won't turn to violence, because usually when that happens, the one who's willing to kill more people wins.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think there is hope. People have seen through the fake politicians that populate Washington. That's where the problem is, really, is the absolutely appalling caliber, absence of morality and indeed of intellect of the ruling class. I've seen a number of people, both on the so-called left and the right, but I think those tribal terms are increasingly redundant, who are trying to bring about a new kind of politics in America, one that's free of lobby interests in particular. So there are some green shoots there, but the distorting effect of money in American politics means that, and then a sort of combination of money and then apathy on the part of voters who think that there isn't anything much they can do about it, means that this, the slow decay of the body politic continues for the time being.
I think that it's important that we stop talking about any kind of reforms to the political system. It's accreted so many unjust laws and acts that it's impossible to fix. The entire structure is rotten to the core. And most of the structure that has accreted, since the time the founding of the United States, has gone in the other direction, away from freedom and away from respecting individual liberty and the human being. And most policies are geared toward, protecting the public good, as we had during COVID. That's the opposite of protecting the most vulnerable minority, which is the individual. So there seems to be a plan to collapse the government and collapse the socialist capitalist system that is in effect in the United States and most Western countries, and switch to something that is called stakeholder capitalism. And that is a system of governance, a little like the social credit system, where policies and government and the courts and legislators don't make decisions, but supposedly some AI is making the decisions. It won't really be AI. It'll be an algorithm that's controlled by the people who have control of the algorithm. But the idea is to replace, the faulty government that has so many problems, and everyone's lost faith in the government. So we need to replace it with this objective machine-like intelligence, artificial intelligence, to make decisions on the best policies and to nudge people to make the best choices. And so in order to do that, they have to collapse the current system, and they want everyone to lose faith in the system. That's part of the plan, so that we'll be willing to accept this new form of government. And so if you collapse the system that brought you into power, you are going to be in a period of great uncertainty and chaos, where it will be very difficult to control public opinion and to control the situation to get this new form of governance in place. And that is our opportunity for the people to say, this is the new form of governance that we want, and to resist. And so it's sort of convenient in a way that if we're revolutionaries, we don't need to destroy the current corrupt government. It's taking itself apart. It's coming down. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, and I want to go back to introducing who I am. I should say that if I sound like I'm very, I have a great imagination talking about what's going to happen next, And
Well, sure, we all do. We like to speculate. I do think there's a great global awakening underway. It touches on the political, but it's also spiritual, if I'm allowed to use that word. We'll talk about all that another time, and indeed hear more about your work. But unfortunately, we're out of time. We've gone way over time today as a result of the connection problems. But I hope you'll be able to join me again very soon, Victoria.
I'd love that. Yeah, let's I've worked out the problems now.
Great. There she goes. That's Victoria Alexander. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Basil Valentine. I'll be back at the same time tomorrow, 1 o'clock UK time. My guest tomorrow is Fiona Rose Diamond, one of Britain's leading campaigners against digital ID. I'm very much looking forward to that. And I'll see you all again, same time tomorrow, 1 o'clock on X and on YouTube. Have a great day.